Before I start narrating the story, I need to give a quick shout out to Gender O&O for letting me use his amazing story. Unfortunately, the story isn't true, but that doesn't mean it's not interesting. I'll be leaving his Reddit page and the story link both in the description below, so make sure to check him out. Also, guys, there are only two parts as of now, so the next video I'm going to upload is the second part of the story. I don't have anything else to say, so welcome to our Reddit stories. Before I go on and explain what happened to me, I'm going to introduce me and my friend. My name is Jay. I'm 16 years old, fully clean, to everyone's surprise. By clean, I mean I have a strong belief about stuff. I don't mind expressing my opinion. I've never tried drugs or vaping or anything like that. And I only drink alcohol rarely on family occasions. For that matter, I don't really get invited to parties, and my friends refer to me as a wimp. One guy, though, always stayed with me no matter what. He was really nice and caring, and he soon became my best friend. His name is Dave. We would do everything together: watch movies, play games, explore outside, etc. Me and Dave were walking the deep woods behind my house. We were just chatting about typical teenager stuff, girls in our grade, and some students we know about. The main topic of our conversation, however, was Dave's new girlfriend. He talked about her for hours, gave every description of her hair color, her eye color, and other descriptive features. I stopped him before the conversation was getting uncomfortable. After about 40 minutes of walking, Dave noticed a small building out of the corner of his eyes. He pointed me to it and we approached it to have a better look at it. It was a small wooden shed. Planks on the floor were loose and risking to collapse at any second. Part of the roof was ripped out, and there was holes in the walls. Some furniture was placed around the place, just as wrecked as the rest of the cabinet itself. They started looking around, under chairs and broken planks, and behind flipped over tables. The more we looked at that place, the more it seemed like something crazy happened in here. They flipped over a wet, soggy plank and found a small, soaked cardboard box that was taped close. At this point, I was starting to get intrigued. We opened the box, and to our surprise, we found a Polaroid. Dave took it and inspected it, and it looked brand new. We thought we found a secret antique, and I wanted to resell it. But he was always fond of photography and wanted to keep it. Dude, we could make so much money out of this, I told him. He glanced at me angrily. This Polaroid is brand new, don't you see? I'm sure it's a gift sent to me from the gods or something. I can finally show off my photography skills. Look! Dave pointed the Polaroid at a bird sitting on a tree. He focused on it, stood still as a statue, and pressed the button on top. A picture started coming out of the Polaroid. He took it and shook it, and the picture started appearing. I have to admit, he does have skills. The picture was perfect and not blurry at all. Dave seemed proud of himself. We continued discussing of the Polaroid when we heard a shriek, and then the sound of something falling on the leaves outside of the cabinet. We went to look at it, and we saw something that I think was a pretty gruesome. I don't know how it happened, but that bird Dave took a picture of was now pierced through with a branch. We assumed it must have been a coincidence and might have fell on a branch pointing upwards. We didn't think of it too much and went back home. I wish we would have went more in depth into it. About 2 days later, it was now Monday. I woke up on a school morning like I would usually. Me and Dave grew a liking into that Polaroid, so we decided to share it. A week he has it, the next I do. This week was his turn. I arrived at school and the first thing I see is Dave and his girlfriend making out at their locker. His girlfriend is called Ashley for the matter. They were going at it pretty hard, even though they've been together for only about 3 days now. I thought it was pretty gross, but I guess it goes into why I always get called a wimp. I waited for Dave to be done exchanging mouth fluids with Ashley before going to him. He took out the Polaroid, which was in the same condition as we found it. We talked for a while until some tall, blond guy tapped Dave on the shoulder. It was Brad. He used to be my friend back in the day, but he kept trying to make me try out weed, and the more I refused, the more aggressive he was getting. He stopped hanging out with me after that, and since then my reputation has only been going downhill. Brad had a mischievous look on his face. He had something in mind. He looked in Dave's hand and grabbed the Polaroid. What's this now? You trying to be a photographer? He scoffed. Yes, in fact, Dave replied. Brad laughed and looked at the Polaroid. This thing only has a limited amount of pictures it can take. Huh? Mind if I take one? Know that you have a choice. I need a clean picture to get as much as chicks as possible. Dave took the Polaroid and pointed it at Brad. Say cheese, he said sarcastically. Brad laughed and made a stupid grin. Dave took the picture out of the Polaroid and shook it. He gave it to Brad and he looked at it carefully. Hmm, I have to crop out those two goons in the background. Thanks, anyways. I'll leave you two alone for now. But don't expect me to stay nice to you. Fucking jerk, I said under my breath. Dave, why did you take a picture for him? Those photo cards thingies don't sell for free, you know. You just wasted one. Dave looked at me. He said he'd leave us alone for a bit. No, I kinda did us a favor here. Be grateful. I could tell his mood dropped from this small event. I sighed and began walking back to my locker when I heard screams from a distance. I looked over to the noise and my eyes widened solid. Brad's body was on the ground, twitching. Two people near him were suffering from the same fate. Teachers were running around trying to find a phone for an ambulance. One of them ran up to me and asked me for my cell phone, saying three students were having a stroke. I quickly handed him my phone, but the line was out. A few seconds later, the electricity in the whole block went out. No phones or cell phones were working. Soon after, Brad and those two other students were dead. I don't know what happened to them or how their stroke started, but I came to the conclusion everyone whose photos were taken in that Polaroid would die in a matter of seconds. That's fucking ridiculous, Dave screamed at me. It did sound hard to believe, a camera that could kill people simply by taking a picture of them, but it happened twice now to a bird and to three people on that one picture. It can't just be a coincidence. Look, I'll prove you nothing's wrong with the fucking Polaroid. I'll go take a selfie with Ashley and you'll see nothing's going to happen. I tried to stop him. I really did. I held his arm, but he shoved it away. I screamed at him to come back, but he wasn't listening. I stood there in horror as I saw Dave position himself next to Ashley and point the Polaroid at their faces. As soon as Dave was about to press the button, a random student ran next to him and bumped his shoulder, tilting the Polaroid a bit to the left as soon as the picture was taken. I gasped and ran up Dave and Ashley. As the picture flew out of the Polaroid, I quickly grabbed it and shook it to look at it, and I felt my heart drop. Only Ashley was seen on the picture. The camera tilted just enough for Dave not to be seen on it. I started panicking and grabbed Ashley on the arm and told her to follow me. Hey, what the frick are you doing? Dave yelled. I brought Ashley to an empty cafeteria and sat her down. She was extremely confused with what was going on.
What are you doing, Jay?
She asked. If you want to stay alive, don't fucking move. I screamed at her. Jay, what's going on? You're scaring me. She worriedly said. I realized how crazy I sounded, taking girl away from the public area to bring her in an enclosed one and telling her not to move if she wanted to live. What a good image I was making for myself. I'm sorry, I'll explain everything soon. We just have to wait here. Just eat something for now. I gave her my granola bar as Dave entered the cafeteria by kicking the door open. He ran towards me. What the frick's your problem, man? He angrily asked me. As soon as I was about to explain, I heard a quiet cough from behind me. I turned around and the first thing I saw was Ashley's face had turned deep blue. She seemed to be choking. Dave ran past me and went behind her and attempting to make her cough out whatever was choking her out. To no avail, he started crying and panicking and screamed for help. Ashley started getting quieter and quieter. She looked at me right in the eyes in tears. She reached her hand towards me as her eyes became more and more lifeless. Her arms soon slowly dropped to her side and her eyes closed just as before. She was dead, and so was Dave by the look of it. Dave? I asked, worried. His expression became dark. He wasn't actually dead, but seemed to be on the inside. She she was the only one who believed in me. My parents never appreciated my presence. I was called a failure. My grades are bad. My dad beats me whenever I do something wrong. She was the only one who looked up to me. And now she's gone. Dave looked up to me in tears. Why? Why does my life have to be so miserable? I knelt beside him and tried my best to comfort him. He was holding the Polaroid in his hand and sobbing on the ground. Step away from me, he said quietly. What? I asked. Get the frick away from me. Dave stood up and pushed me violently on the ground. He wasn't the same anymore. His fists were clenched and he had an aggressive expression on his face, still teary eyed. He looked down at the Polaroid and slowly grabbed it. I was scared for my life. Had he snapped, he was going to kill me with it. He breathed quickly and loud and pointed it at himself. Dave, no! I screamed, standing up as fast as I could. He did it. He took a picture of himself with the Polaroid. I stood there, shocked. Dave closed his eyes for a few moments, then opened them again. His eyes were lifeless and angry. He slowly walked towards the kitchen, which was closed. He kicked down the door and came out with a knife. His expression was lifeless. I knew exactly what was going to happen. He was going to be the cause of his own death, and I didn't want to let that happen. I ran towards him as fast as I could, and the second my hand grabbed his wrist, it was too late. The knife was wedged in his throat as he looked at me deep in the eyes. I saw a bit of life coming back to him as he started crying once again. I'll finally be free, he mumbled before collapsing on the ground. My parents arrived as quickly as they could. The principal made me sit down in the secretary office. The principal told them I was present during the deaths of Dave, Ashley, and my parents became shocked. I didn't know what to think. Either my best friend and his girlfriend had died right in front of me. My parents wanted me to see a therapist, but I declined the offer. I knew exactly what happened and I'd rather talk about this experience on here as readers on this website are prone to believing what I say rather than a stupid therapist who could care less about what happens to me. As for the Polaroid, it's still with me. It's currently at the top of my shelf, facing away from my room. I don't know what to do anymore. That's all I have for part 1 of this story. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video and please make sure to leave a like down below and subscribe for more content like this. Again, make sure to check out Gender010 for letting me use this amazing story. Other than that, thank you all for watching this video and I will be seeing you guys next time with some more spine chilling stories.